Hey everybody, this is Perch. All right, so I'm looking forward to the Fantastic Four movie. I know. That apparently is triggering for people, but I'm looking forward to it for these very distinct reasons. I like the 1950s, 1960s kind of classic aesthetic they're going to do. Looks pretty. Now, granted, it's easy to look pretty in a trailer, and then how it actually plays out, we'll see. Disney hasn't always been the best at doing kind of retro, that type of look, but we'll see how it works. I like the Fantastic Four. I think if you listen to this channel for any length of time, you know that is true. I have enjoyed that series for quite a long time, and a lot of these comics hold very fond memories in my heart. And I'm also looking forward to it because it feels like Disney is finally pulling its head out of its ass to some extent and going, hey, you know what? We really need to get a blockbuster going here because otherwise we're getting our ass kicked. There's a little bit of we actually need to do this one right. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they will, but it does mean we're going to enjoy the marketing, the buzz, and the hype. And I don't always buy into that, but I enjoy watching, see how companies do. So it's all good. I don't particularly care for Pedro Pascal. I just don't. Again, this isn't new. Fortunately or unfortunately, this channel has years now of thousands of videos, literally thousands. It's one of the few times when I can use the word literally, and it actually, that is a true statement. Literally thousands of videos, and I've complained about Pedro Pascal long before it was popular to do so. Um, it's long before whatever that Gina Carano bullshit was. I just don't. I don't know. I don't particularly care for him. Something about him doesn't work for me. It's not a criticism on his politics or anything like that. It's just you just don't like people sometimes, and I'm not a fan of him, and I don't like him as Reed. But it is what it is. Risk casting, seems okay. Anyway, so this movie's coming out, and then somebody dug up a Entertainment Weekly, I think, article with around Fantastic Four, and the actors were all giving comments. And the Invisible Woman, because she's a woman, was saved till the end. She was last in the list, the least important of the characters. I'm joking, of course, but it's funny how a lot of the people bitching about this don't mention that part. That they literally they went through all the men, and they're like, all right, let's get to the chick here, who, as again, if you've seen a previous video, arguably maybe one of the more powerful characters in the Marvel Universe based on her power set, but whatever. And she made a comment that to me is a classic kind of comic interview kind of comment. By that, I mean super, super obvious comment. Now, if you paid attention to kind of Hollywood journalism, that kind of thing, there's a phrase called softball interview. Okay, it's most of you have probably heard that, but is popularized via Hollywood news and giving Hollywood stars softball interviews. It's like they would talk to Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's like, so is there going to be a lot of action in your movie? And Arnold's like, yes, there will be some action in the movie. That's a bad impression, I know. But it's like, ask obvious question, get obvious answers. So there's a quote that got a bunch of alpha males very triggered in YouTube. It's going woke, said the thumbnail. But here is the quote. The quote was from the actress playing Sue Storm. Quote, if you played an exact 60s Sue, meaning Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, today, everyone would think she was a bit of a doormat, Vanessa Kirby says. So figuring out how to capture the essence of what she represented to each generation, where the gender politics were different, and embody that today was one of the greatest joys of this. All right. Now, if you're not black-pilled, looking for everything that Disney's going to fuck up and YouTube drank the Kool-Aid, that is a super dumb, obvious statement. Now, why is that a dumb, obvious statement? Well, because because of the obvious. Have you ever gone back and looked at comics in the 60s? Here are some quotes that Reed Richards has said. You're not a fool, Sue, merely a female. You couldn't have reacted differently. That is something Reed said out loud. Here's something else he said. Stop sounding like a wife, Sue. I make the decisions for this team. I still make the decisions for this team. A man's life might be at stake. There's another quote, Reed saying, Sue is basically saying, hey, you're trying to get rid of me and I want to know why. And Reed says, please, dear, don't go feminine on me just now. I don't have the time or the patience. Can't you see I'm involved in something important? Look, you can type into Google Reed Richards sexist, and in many cases with comics, people are going out and they're reinventing things and they're like, the Iron Fist can't be white. And I mean, they're doing a bunch of bullshit racial identity, gender nonsense with comics. But in this case, this is why it's a duh statement from Sue. You can't have a movie where Pedro Pascal is going, let's see, here's another one. It says, here's a scene where the Fantastic Four is talking to an army general, and the general, who is smoking on a cigar, says, humph, Miss Storm, a pretty young lady can always be of help by keeping the men's morale up. And Reed's like, that's just the way we feel about Sue, General. I mean, look, it goes on and on and on. Now, there's a scene that often comes up in comics that people like to portray where Reed is slapping Sue in the face. Now, you'll notice that the art is John Byrne art. And that's because it was much later in the 80s when Sue Storm was running around as Malice. And Reed says, Susan, I said, shut up. And he slaps her in the face. Now, there's a major difference between the earlier things I was reading from the 60s and this scene from the 80s. The major differences are in the 60s, this was just the way the characters were talking to each other. In the 80s, during the Byrne storyline, the idea was that Sue Storm had basically been kind of brainwashed, hypnotized, and was Malice. And Reed was trying to jar her out of it, and this is the way he did it. And it was also padded with a ton of stuff around how she kind of found her own kind of empowerment, and she realized that she was in the shadow of things. Like, there was a lot there. It was not a simple storyline where Reed was being a dickhead. It made sense. It is not like the 60s where Reed would say things like, listen, you lovely little cupcake. I mean, you're right. I'm going to make up for it. I'm going to buy you a whole new wardrobe, and then I'll do the town like never before because wives should be kissed and not heard. I'm reading you stuff from the comics. Okay, so back to the quote that Vanessa said about her character. Yeah, the crazy part about it is she very specifically says if you played an exact 60s Sue today, everyone would think she was a bit of a doormat. They wouldn't think she was a bit of a doormat. They would think it was insane. You can't have that going on in a movie in 2025. I'm sorry. And I know I posted this community note and several of you are like, I don't see a problem. Oh, come on, assholes. You know, yes, there's a problem. You can't run a movie in 2025 with Reed saying, you're not an idiot, Sue, just a female. Like what are you doing? You couldn't do it unless you're trying to make a very kitschy 60s movie about what an a-hole these characters are, specifically Reed. And then, how are you going to have an Avengers and, you can't have sequels to that. It doesn't work. So when Vanessa made the comment of, figuring out how to capture the essence of what she represented to each generation, meaning in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, etc., and bring it into one character, she's like, that was a lot of fun. It embodies that was one of the greatest joys of this. If you're not crazy, that is a pretty cool statement. It means that, hey, we looked at the character. From multiple generations, and we tried to make something pretty cool. We tried to bring all the different pieces together. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good. I mean, for God's sake, how many videos and commentaries have we had that say that Hollywood and Disney are not paying attention to the comics at all? Here, an actress is specifically referencing the comics and the changes the character has gone through and acknowledging a really simple fact that people may not like, but don't be insane here. You're not going to have, you know, women should be heard. Sorry, women should be seen and not heard going out as a line. I mean, granted, I would sit in a theater with beer and popcorn and laugh my ass off if Pedro Pascal is saying that out loud to a character, but it's never going to happen. And that's not a big loss for humanity that it's not going to happen. We don't need Mad Men. We need the Fantastic Four. We need this to be a movie that can actually be enjoyed. And the thing is, you can do that. People have taken that quote and that comment to suggest that they're going to make Sue a crazy feminist lesbian bitch, and like that's not going to happen either. So like just chill the fuck out. It'll be fine, or it won't. I mean, here's the other thing, and I'll acknowledge this in the video too. Yeah, Disney has fucked these things up plenty, and they may fuck this one up. But let's not. We shouldn't invent things out of nowhere. And I understand the argument because a lot of you have made it saying, well, why should we trust Disney? Don't. You don't need to trust Disney, but not trusting Disney means don't just assume everything is going to turn out perfect. It doesn't mean go ahead and kind of invent things about stuff that's been said. I'm begging you. Look, I know a lot of you are like, you don't want to hear it. You want to hear me say like Disney's gone woke, go broke, Fantastic Four is going to bomb, feminist Sue. She's got to, like, she may be white, but by the time the film's coming out, she's going to be a fat black lesbian. She's going to be just, it's all going to be about carpet with her. Like, I can't say that because it'd be lying. Okay. I'm not willing to, I'm willing to say, hey, we're going to see how I'm not saying right now in this video. And unless you're intellectually dishonest, you will agree. I'm not saying here that everything's going to turn out great. This is definitely going to be the best movie this summer. It's going to be the return to form. We got to hit on our sands, folks. You got to go. This is going to be an amazing movie. I haven't said that once, nor would I ever say that, because the reality is Disney has put plenty of stinkers up on the board. And so they don't have that trust for me. Okay. When for what I like, hey, look, David Lynch, God rest his soul, when he would come out with a new movie, I felt confident saying, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to like it. I just know I am because I like David Lynch. It's going to be great. I could say that's sight unseen. I don't have that kind of trust in Marvel and Disney. They put up some shit. So we'll see how it turns out. But this comment shouldn't be leading. I mean, God, why is it triggering these supposed alpha males? Like, goddamn. Like, stop. It's a dumb comment. It is equivalent to Arnold Schwarzenegger going, there will be shooting in the film. See, another bad impression. But that's like, it would be like Pauly Shore going, hey, there's going to be some really good, there's going to be really some dumb comedy. And, the only way you're going to enjoy this is if you're high when you watch it, buddy. That's the only way, it's an obvious comment. Sue, yeah, we're not going to. The crazy part about the comment is if you listen to it, if you played the exact 60 Sue today, everyone would think she was a bit of a doormat. A bit? Sue is here. Sue is smiling along, like while Reed's like, you stupid whore. I mean, wow. Anyway, they're pretty crazy. All right, I'll leave it there. But let's see how the film turns out. I'm not willing to say it's going to be a woke disaster. I'm not willing to say it's going to be a masterpiece. I'll be willing to say those things when I actually see it. And if Marvel puts up, 10 more pieces of shit in a row, then I'll be willing to say, yeah, you know what? I'm pretty much going to assume it's crap. If they put up 10 brilliant films in a row, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm pretty confident this one's going to be good too. Right now, they're in that middle. They're in that tweener zone. So that's where we are. Marvel, the Roman Reigns of movies, I guess. Anyway, thanks for listening.